Hello everyone and welcome to our next section. Right now we're going to spend some time talking about being a digital citizen and the ethics that are related to that. Now first off, when it comes to being a digital citizen, it doesn't mean anything too crazy. All it basically means is you are a member of the digital world. Just like how you are a citizen of the United States, that means that you have certain rights and responsibilities. Same goes for the digital world. You, as a citizen, have certain rights and responsibilities. Right now we're going to spend some time talking about it as it affects three different areas. The first off is personally. Now most of you probably have some sort of social media account, or here on the ELC you are going to be interacting with other people. You're going to be doing that on a personal basis. Now most of the time people who are involved are kind people. They're people you know, your friends, your followers. You like them, they like you, you talk well to each other. But I don't know about you, but sometimes you have different things happen on the internet. For example, I have lots of friends and family members who are all on Facebook. And a lot of them are friends as well. Now sometimes, because they all have different beliefs on different things, sometimes it gets a little messy on the internet. For example, one of my friends or perhaps a family member will post something that has some sort of strong feeling behind it. It may be political, it may be related to some other cause, but they post something. Now that post then is read by all kinds of people. And the people who are involved in the conversation that follows are basically three different kinds. They're the people who strongly agree with the person who posted originally. They're the people who disagree with the original post. And then there are the people who sit in the middle and go, wait guys, be nice. There's no need to argue. You guys are getting out of control here. And they're trying to bring harmony back to the world. Now, one of the things that I notice is whenever these kinds of conversations happen, oftentimes you'll notice that people who, when you're talking to them face to face, would always be very civil, very kind, not really say anything mean. All of a sudden, when they're on the internet, they start getting really mean. They say things that you wouldn't expect. You would imagine that, people who are civil in person would also be civil online. That's not always the case. You see, what I've noticed is as soon as we aren't seeing each other face to face, and it's just me looking at a computer screen with words from you, it becomes easier for people to get bold and say things that they otherwise would never say. We usually use the term internet boldness to describe this. Now, when it comes to ethically, this is not a great thing to do. After all, Jesus called us to a higher standard than that. He doesn't want us to treat people poorly, even if it's on the internet. He always wants us to think about our ethics and to think about how we should treat people. If you go to James 3, I was reading in the Message Bible one time and I came across a statement that said essentially this: live well, live wisely, live humbly. That's the kind of attitude that we need to take towards the internet. We need to treat people the way that we want to be treated. We should treat them well. We should treat them wisely. And we should treat them humbly. That way, even though on the internet sometimes it's easy to say things that we don't mean, we avoid that. So that way we keep a good relationship and we remain a great example of what it is to be a Christian and continue to live Christ-like even on the internet. The second way is academically. Now, I know that because we have computers, let's be honest, it's a little easier to cheat than it ever was before. After all, if you are at home and you realize, oh dear, I was supposed to write that paper for school and it's due in an hour and I don't have any time to do it, so let me go online and try to grab some things and put something together and submit it to my teacher. Now, of course, we all know that is not right. That is called plagiarism. As you know, plagiarism is taking somebody else's work and putting it out as your own. It is illegal and it also causes lots of problems. You see, even if you don't get caught the first time that you do this, or the first time that you are taking a test and you kind of use Google as your help, even though you won't necessarily, even if you don't get caught the first time, it it puts your ethics into question. It makes you compromise your ethics. And in the end, it can cause you a lot of problems. After all, if you're caught plagiarizing here at Circle or at most other schools, you'll get a 0 on that assignment. So whatever paper that was due at 10 o'clock that you didn't have time to do, you're not going to get any points for it anyways. Or if we find out that you've cheated on a test, you're not going to get any points for that anyways. There are also harsher penalties that could be involved depending on the situation and depending on what the policies are, which is why you always want to know the policies. Also, when you get into college, if you're caught doing this sort of thing, you actually get kicked out, no questions asked, and that will go on your permanent record. So it totally ruins your academic career. So when it comes to ethics as a digital citizen, we want to make sure that we are very careful not to portray things as our work that isn't, or to not do our work because, oh, well, I can Google it later. Never a good idea. Don't do it. The third way, which is a way that more affects you as opposed to a thing that you do, is professionally and globally ethics. First of all, think about this. The media is a way that we often get news, insight into different things in society. However, the media is not always completely honest with you. You see, information can be twisted in such a way to make you believe a certain way if the media wants to do that. Consider this. A long time ago, back when SUVs first became a popular new car, usually the headlines used to read, if there was an accident with cars, it would read something like, 3 killed in car accident. It's simple enough, straightforward. Sad, but true. However, if there was an SUV involved, what you would start to notice was instead of it just saying that it was an accident and that 3 people were killed, you'd start noticing headlines more like this: 3 killed by SUV. It almost makes it sound like the SUV is going out and killing people. It has nothing to do with the car accident and everything to do with the type of car. Now, why exactly the local media was trying to do this, I'm not sure. Is it because it took up more gas? Is it because it put out more fumes? I have no idea. But for some reason, they had a thing against SUVs, and they were twisting the information, presenting it in a certain way, so that way you would feel a particular way about those SUVs. The other way that I've seen the media twist things recently is back in 2012. There was a story about a little girl who went to SeaWorld and had an accident. Let me tell you the media's way of telling this story. You see, there's this adorable little girl. She had pigtails, big eyes, and she loved dolphins. They were her favorite sea creature, and so one day her parents took her finally to go to SeaWorld. Now this little girl was so excited to go feed the dolphins, and so what she did was she took one of those stinky little silverfish out of the little container and she held it out for the dolphin like you're supposed to do. Now the dolphin was a bit rambunctious, and so when it started getting close to her, it looked like it was coming too fast, so she got startled, and so she started to pull away a little bit. And when she did this, the dolphin got angry that she was taking away the fish, and so it leapt out of the water, and it grabbed her arm and almost ripped her arm off as it tried to drag her in the water. Fortunately, though, she didn't get killed by it, and ended up with some scratches all over her arm. Now, if you were to actually watch the video of this incident, that is not what you would see. What you would see is this. The little girl standing there, holding the fish, puts it in the water like she's supposed to. When the dolphin starts getting close, she does what the SeaWorld trainers told her not to do. And she pulls back and pulls the fish closer to her. When she does this, the dolphin, who's already there, kind of gets confused, tries to go after the fish, accidentally grabs onto her arm. As soon as it realizes that has happened, it lets go and slides right back into the water. It's not like it was trying to maul her or kill her, and yet the media tried to make it sound like a bigger deal than it actually was. It's easy for people to manipulate information, so you always have to be on your guard to make sure that when you're watching the media, you are getting the information that you need and that you are paying attention to their ethics. The other way that companies and other agencies sometimes deal unethically is with data mining. Consider this. My mom was looking for a purse a couple of weeks ago because she's going on a cross-country trip on a motorcycle. So she just wanted a simple bag that goes across the shoulder. So that way, when you're on a motorcycle, it's not too big, but it's easy to transport wherever you want it to go. Now, what's interesting is she looked for these on Amazon for a little while, and then she closed the window and continued on with her day. A couple of days later, she started to get emails and advertisements from Dillard's, from Macy's, from other companies that all were advertising the kind of purse she was looking for. The truth is, your information is getting gathered out there. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be afraid. That means that you need to be conscious. After all, if you don't want people to want people to gather information that you don't intend for them to get, don't put it out there. So that's why whenever we're talking about Facebook, why it's so important to choose your settings carefully. So that way you don't put your phone number on your internet or on your Facebook, so that way people aren't gathering that information about you that you don't want to have that information. You want to always be careful about what kind of information you're putting out there, because you never know who might be gathering that information and potentially using it. So, now like I said, don't let that worry you too much. It's just something to be conscious of. So, as digital citizens, there are 3 main areas that ethics relate to digital citizenship. The first is personally. Always be careful with how you're saying things. The second is academically. Don't let the temptation to do things that are unethical get the better of you. And the third is professionally and globally. Make sure that you're paying attention to what other people are doing, so that way you guard yourself and you also are aware when you're an adult of what you shouldn't do. So that wraps up this. Go ahead and continue with the other things in this module and have fun.